to talk about Charlottesville, Virginia now. I want to look at what went on there. First of all, the legislators in Virginia, Charlottesville, whatever, some legislators decided that in their infinite wisdom, that statue of Robert E. Lee, that statue of Robert E. Lee on a horse, didn't fit their snowflake intellectual idealistic picture of life. It didn't fit in their picture of life. Being idle, having nothing else to do and nothing else to think about, and seeing that thing, they decided that that statue should be taken down. So they enacted legislation to take that statue down, which is kind of like someone in the North, where a statue of Martin Luther King is deciding to take that statue down. I mean, it was kind of the same thing. I mean, when you look at the result, when you look at the result of stirring up people. I mean, if you want to stir up people in the South, decide to take out a statue of Robert E. Lee, and if you're looking to stir up trouble in the North, look to take out a statue of Martin Luther King. That's a good way to stir up trouble. Okay, so pre-legislation in the South, pre-legislation, weekend scoreboard, no deaths, 0 deaths. Now that doesn't look like something you have to fix. It doesn't look like something you have to look at and try and figure out, how do we fix this? We didn't have any deaths this weekend. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But in the legislators, these intellectual idealists, they want to make their world perfect. So they did it in their world. Having that statue there wasn't perfect. So they enacted legislation to take out that statue. So now let's look at the weekend scoreboard after the enactment of the legislation by these snowflake, intellectual, entitled idealists. So after their legislation, weekend scoreboard, 3 dead. Now these legislators have to blame somebody. It certainly isn't their fault. They didn't incite unrest between the whites and the whites. I mean, there weren't even any black people involved. They're talking about prejudice, racial prejudice, but they figured out in their infinite intelligence, in their infinite wisdom, they figured out a way to incite white against white. So now they have to blame somebody, because if they don't blame somebody, then it means it's their fault. So who are they going to blame? They got the whites over here and you got the whites over here. So who are they going to blame? So they pick the easy ones to blame. The easy ones to blame are the right, the people on the right, the extremists on the right, not the extremists on the left, the extremists on the right. So they have to blame them. Otherwise, it comes back to them for stirring things up. They can't say, okay, we're not going to take down the statue now. We're not going to leave it there. Let's go back. They can't, because they've already stirred it up. So if they say they're going to leave it there, then the whites on the left are going to get mad, and they're going to. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm thinking these legislators, they all must be Stanford graduates, or they're Harvard graduates. They're the snowflake intellectuals from Stanford, or the snowflake intellectual idealists, entitled punks from Harvard. They must be either went to Harvard or they went to Stanford, because that's where they're trained to think like that. So I'd just like to say that I hope that the legislators are happy with the results of taking that down. I hope they're happy, and I hope they realize that you may be able to con the people in this country into maybe blaming Donald Trump, or they may try to somehow blame him for his reaction. Now it's his fault. Now it's about Donald Trump. It's not about the legislators who initially stirred up the problem. The legislators initially stirred up the problem. That's where the root cause of this particular problem arose, from them. But they can't undo it. Now they've they've stirred it up, and now they're looking to Trump. Oh, he didn't react well. He didn't. Trump has given up his cushy life. He's given up his cushy life and endangered his life. In fact, being president to try and work for the common people in this country, to try and bring jobs back. That's what he's, and now he's the center. He's the center of all the hostility. Let's blame it on Trump. Well, I'm sorry, you Virginia legislators. Anyone with a brain realizes you're the ones that stirred it up. It would never have happened had you not stirred it up.